Hi, I'm Phil, and in my day job, I'm a senior software developer. I spend an unhealthy amount of time thinking about how systems fit together. Wherever you have an object-oriented piece of software, you have choices about how and where you host objects. For distributed applications, these choices get really difficult because of the layers of boilerplate you need to put in place to make things work. In a lot of cases, we'd like to keep the state of an object in the service tier, but scale, elasticity, and resilience criteria force us to avoid in-memory data stores. And this means that we need to make choices between storing the object transactionally in the data store or maintaining the state in the front end. And both of those things have drawbacks, particularly for the front end where security is a problem. A lot of times recently I've been looking at the amount of boilerplate that this requires of us and thinking that there must be a better way. Specifically, we need proxies and stubs, or in ASP.NET speak, which is what I use, an API client or a controller. ORMs, views, controllers, pickers, domain models, REST models, messages, events, and a multitude of mapping between the different flavors of exactly the same thing stated slightly differently for different technology requirements of a particular layer. And in all of those cases, change detection is also required. All of these layers hamstring our choices of model or representation, and in a lot of these cases, they introduce efficiency problems. And personally, I'm incredibly frustrated by the amount of duplication involved. We're using AI to code this now, and we're no longer writing this stuff by hand, but the developers around me are still largely coding one-offs. So a topic I've been mulling over, ruminating really, is that if we had a source language for describing a whole stack of data types, but we could write it in a single terse notation that then gets transformed into the target technologies at the different layers. Well, how would we then state the transformations that are required? How would we describe the upgrades of live executing objects in those layers and in the fabric? How could we then set up our preferences about how and where these objects are transformed and preserved? How could we then state security requirements and metadata about the transfer format? If you've given any thought to reducing the boilerplate, I'd love to know what you've tried. Let me know in the comments.